Hello everyone, my name is Auro and welcome to the 5th devlog of Mortal Glory 2, a turn-based gladiator roguelike. This time I decided I wanted to add some visuals to the game, and I figured a very nice starting point would be to add some character visuals, and I decided I would go with the same unit graphics as in the first one. I figured they look nice and kind of like the same pixel resolution. 32 by 32 pixels worked really great, so why would I change that? So I figured I just go with the same. And as you can see, I also added the animations at the same time. I also added the death animation. And then as a new thing, I decided to add a resurrection animation, which is basically just a reverse of the death animation. This wasn't in the first one, but I figured, hey, why not just add this and then I can have like a cool skill or two that will resurrect a unit. It's at least a nice option to have if I come up with a cool idea for that. At this point I was also kind of bored, to be honest, so I was just adding small needed things to the game, like diagonal movement that actually wasn't in the game before. Then I added a sorting layer change on movement. So what that does is that if the unit moves diagonally past another unit, it should be on like the right layer, in the sense that which unit do you actually see on top of another. So of course I don't want it to be so that the unit moves past the other unit. Okay, my hands are not doing anything here important, but yeah, basically what shows on top, that's the important bit. And then I also added simple end game conditions, so a win condition and a lose condition. And of course you mustn't forget the third neutral end condition, so it's a tie if all the units die. After that it was time to add a major feature to the game, and that was skills. It would be kind of boring if the units could only melee attack each other, so yeah, I decided to give them some magic missiles to throw around. One very important obstacle I faced when I started working on the skills was the timing of everything. This is not something that you usually think about, and it's not something that the player sees, but that is very important, that what happens in the game actually happens in the correct order. Here I have slowed down some of the animations so it's more clear to see. So as you can see, with simple melee animation, the unit moves closer to the another unit and then does the actual attack, deals damage and then retreats. So previously and in the first game, this was actually instant, that the damage was done instantly, and then after that the animation played out. And while the instant version was functional, it also posed some problems. Like for example, you need to make the animations very fast always, so that it won't look funny, like a unit dies before the another unit is actually even in melee range or something like that. So yeah, that's something that I had to work with. But when I changed this away from instant, that of course creates some new problems. Like for example, if a barrel explodes, then it really matters where the unit is at that exact moment. Like I added this new barrel that has a knockback effect on destruction, so that led to some really weird situations when the effect was actually happening when the unit wasn't in middle of a specific cell, it was between cells. So yeah, that was a bit weird. That's something that I had to fix. There were a few different options I considered how to fix this, like for example maybe I could have the animations play out only visually, like so when the unit moves it's only like adjusting the pivot of the sprite or something like that, but yeah, I don't know, it led to some other problems, like I would have to adjust the pivot of all the objects, the sprites, like the health bar and all that stuff. So what I ended up with was actually just that before, for example, the barrel explodes in the code, it will wait until the unit has retreated back to the like actual cell location, and then it will play out all the effects. And based on testing, it actually works really great. When working on this, I had this kind of like test to pass when fixing this, that okay, I will have several barrels, and if the timing of those barrels when they explode works correctly, then yeah, that is a good solution. And as you can see in these few clips, it works really great, and it's actually a lot of fun to play around with the different options. Like you have knockback barrels that will knock the unit into another barrel, and then on impact it will deal damage, so the another barrel will explode and then maybe knock back the unit further into another barrel, and then that explodes, and yeah, you can have like this long chains of events happening with the barrels, which is really cool in the game, I think. The red barrel, by the way, is an explosive barrel, of course, so it will deal 5 damage to all units around it when it explodes. So yeah, that can trigger other barrels to explode around it. Then of course you can make the barrels explode from range with the new magic missile skill, so you can have some very creative options of dispatching your enemies with. So for example, in this clip you can see that yeah, you can shoot a knockback barrel at your enemy, which then knockbacks the enemy into an explosive barrel, and when that explosive barrel explodes, well, yeah, you get what happens when you collide with an explosive barrel. Then I decided it was time to add a few other additional skills to the game. So this instant missile is basically just a magic missile that doesn't consume a turn. And then of course knockback, yeah, that's a melee attack that knockbacks the enemy. Then some more skills. So next I added a charge skill with the like vertical and horizontal line targeting, and very similarly a charge with a knockback, so if you're extra angry at your enemy, you can also knock back the enemy after charging. And then next I decided to add a new feature that wasn't actually in the first game, which is a missile animation. So yeah, in the first one I didn't have any kind of an effect if you like shot a fireball at the enemy. I mean, there was the hit impact effect, maybe some fire around the target, but yeah, nothing projectile. Which, I mean, didn't ruin the game or anything. It wasn't needed in the first one, but I think it's a very easy thing to add that also adds some nice flavor in the game. And with a combination of trail renderer component and some nice shader effects, I can make the missiles look really pretty and also easily change like the colors and all that stuff. So yeah, this is something that I will probably later on still tune to look even nicer, but already I think it's pretty cool. Just yeah, maybe some fine tuning needed later on. And that is actually everything I have for this devlog. And as usual, I would love to hear the comments what you think about all these features I showcased and whatever else you have in mind, all that stuff. Yeah, hey, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.